It is so. It is so. We're coming to you, and we both sitting there watching the basketball game, making comments back and forth. and I think the coaching and coach is coming out talking about he should have went on top of the screen, under the screen. Come on, box out. What else you were saying, Vince?
Favor some intensive shots.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm Charles Morse. Welcome to Youth Central Sports with Coach Vince Carter. You know, we're coming to you here. It's about a little over 7 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter with Houston and Golden State. But before then, you know, we got to get an update on how you doing with your surgery, how you feeling.
Doing real well. I had a doctor's appointment today. I'm at a 50 chance of not using my brace anymore. We're weaning me off my brace. So I'm really excited about that. Really kind of getting back to normal, if you will. I really wanted to take that brace off. And we had a long discussion today, my doctor and I got 80% out of it. So you still got 20% time I need to use it, but 80% of the time I'm out. So I'm really excited. Progress is great progress. Really happy where we are, and getting close to that normal stage, if you will.
Okay, how you as far as you know your mobility, getting in and out of the car, going upstairs and stuff like that?
No problem. I mean, we've learned a method to get me up and down stairs, and then getting in and out of the car. I found, you know, I'm able to get my leg in, and it really makes it easy. Getting in and out is not a problem. Going up the stairs, I have a technique I have to use for right now, but it works very well, gets me up and down. So I'm really excited about it right now. I'm almost at that normal stage.
Okay, for people who are watching for the very first time, kind of wrap it up for us real quickly about what happened back in February, because that's when you had your surgery, right?
February. Well, I fell on February 16th,
okay.
And I tore my patella tendon in my left. I had surgery on February 27th. So I'm coming up on, I think I just eclipsed about 10 or 12 weeks. I got a doctor's appointment in June, which would put me at around about 16 weeks of recovery. And I should really be at a really good stage. Overall, it's going to take 6 months for me to get back to quote unquote normal. But I am highly functional right now, highly functional, being able to move around without any assistance, no cane, no walker, no brace. I can dress myself. I mean, you talk about somebody excited. I'm very excited. And just in time to
just let you know, Vince is coming to us from Tennessee, where he left us to go to Tennessee. What? It's been 2 years now. Is it 2 years?
Almost 3. It's been 3 years.
Oh, almost 3 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Time flies.
You know something that we never really did talk about before we get into the other sports thing. What we never did really talk about was for you personally to see midnight basketball go away. How you feel about that?
Oh, to say the least, I was disappointed. I was very excited for what we were able to accomplish for 23 years. Really felt very, very good about what we had done, the various events that we had had, but more importantly, what people had said about the impact of what we had. I really wanted us to hit 25 years. We really stopped at 24 years. 23 years in, we stopped at 24. I really wanted to celebrate 25, but circumstances out of our control, program to end, basically financial and funding. But so proud of it. Still here, remnants of it still going on out there.
Now, Vince, for people who don't know, quickly tell us what midnight basketball was and how it came about, because it as you say, more than just a game.
Oh, without a doubt. But it started in 1991 as a way to get young African American males off the street of Paramore. At that time, there was a high crime rate going on, fatal fatalities in the community, and it came. Arthur Jackson was the original founding creator of the program, a way to take kids off the street. and it just grew from there. We had that one site at the old downtown recreation center, the old Magic, with some Davis, it's been called. And we grew from there. We at one time we had 21 different locations, counties, and we were seeing somewhere between 1,500 to 25 kids a weekend at the various locations. And we started a program with the intent to do prevention, give them a place to be, build relationships around the game of basketball, do some intervention using basketball as the hook. But it just grew from there, where we had basketball leagues. We ended up putting on basketball camps, had a traveling team for midnight basketball. We went into where you were heavily involved in a lot of our summer league play. We sponsored a pro-am, and then we also had two major functions. We had midnight basketball luncheon, and that turned into the midnight basketball Hall of Fame for the last 7 or 8 years. So did an awful lot, saw a lot of people, gave out some scholarships with the intent to can build relationships, give kids an alternative, give them something else to look at, give them a way to build a future. We did all that using basketball as the hook.
Well, it's I think it's kind of sad that it went away, because I know that there were so many things, so many kids that came through it, but also the things that came from it. Right, that's exactly. A lot of. I mean, we actually could do a couple of shows on that alone. The things that came from it. So with that being said, it's kind of sad, especially now. We probably need it more than ever. And it probably needs to be in every city.
Well, it's interesting you say that. We were starting to, with my move from Florida here, we were starting to lay some work to make that expansion. We had tried to do an expansion in the Bahamas. We had tried to do something in Miami. We were starting to bring those things together. They were starting to pay off. But just like things, you run out of funding, and funding became an issue. Priorities changed. And we had fought through some financial difficulties and were able to raise money to stay in business. But it was becoming more and more difficult, because of the way the state was handling its funding. It was cutting a lot of funding, and we just finally got cut. I'm proud of it. I'll always never forget what we did. What I remember more than anything else are the comments from the kids, the looks, faces that came every week to play ball. Whether they could play it or not, they showed up to be there, allow us to interact with them. And I can't tell you how many of them would have said to me, if I didn't have this, I don't know what I'd be doing. And that to me just warmed my heart. I mean, and they counted on us to be there every weekend. And we were out there Friday, Saturday, and we had even started having a program on Sunday. So we were Friday and Sunday, and those kids were holding our foot to the fire. But more importantly, we had relationships, a lot of relationships. It was a fabulous time, and it was all based around basketball. So to me, it was the best of both worlds. I had basketball and I had kids, two that I enjoy the most.
Well, see, and actually that, for people who don't, that's really what Youth Central Sports is about, as we come to you every Wednesday right here at youthcentralsports.com. Charles Morse along with Vince Carter. And we try to, as much as we talk about sports and what sports is to the world, to this country, but we talk about the impact and how sports can be used in such a positive way if you're in the right environment, and how it can be part of the village, which is what we're really missing. And that's part of the problem, because one of the things that I was going to say, Vince, in what I do, I'm always around people that's talking about, hey, people doing this, people doing that, and more people need to do that. But then they talk about, well, they're cutting the funding, but yet they say that we need this, and then they talk about, well, we need to cut the funding. It's just like, well, how can you sit there and say, oh, this is an awesome program and we need this program and this should be going on, but then you cut the funding. So it's almost like, well, to be honest, it's like the setup to say, well, you know what, we can really find the funding for the prison, because that's really the other way, and what we can find the funding for the prison, because that seems to be more important. And I mean, you know what I'm saying. I mean, you know
Right.
what
Oh,
I'm saying.
absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And you know, the impact there, what we were talking about is trying to, work with drug addictions and all addictions, community violence, just self-esteem issues. Up starting a program, we brought in a program called Man Up, dealing with kids at high school, and then we had Ladies First, taking
Right.
first-time juvenile offenders on both male and female side. The impact of that alone was unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. The number of parents who were, and the kid did not necessarily be a first time juvenile offender. It's just that sometimes they needed a little guidance. They needed a reset, if you would. And that thing grew from 4 or 5, 20 in a class for over 6 or 8 weeks. And we got with the juvenile system where we were recognized as a valid program. And that's something I was really proud of. And the number of parents who would write back how much the impact had on their children and saving them and changing some of them really meant a lot to us. A lot of hard work went into that. We really felt proud about that. And to be honest with you, we're still proud about that because we still hear remnants of Midnight Basketball. There's some other programs where some of my former staff members are still working with to continue that effort. It's not called Midnight Basketball, but it's similar. But I'm proud of that too. That they love the model enough to continue it. I can't tell you how I am, and I know if Arthur was around, he would be equally as proud to know that his legacy continued on, and we built on his legacy. We just kept building, and we really grew up to be. At one time, we were a major player. We had a $500,000 budget, and over that, and we were servicing a lot of kids. I mean, giving out scholarships. I mean, one time we had a summer league where we had 25 gyms over 4 counties and teams playing. I mean, that was one of the biggest things I had ever seen. It was humongous, and the play that we had, the coordination of all of that, trying to cover all those counties, but it was worth every effort and every minute that we spent at it. To hear the feedback from the kid. Had a program that had Polk County versus Orange County basketball. They loved it.
Yeah.
They absolutely
Right.
loved it. So we were having fun doing what we like to do, and that's to work with kids and work with basketball.
Well, that's what I was saying. We could do 2 or 3 shows on the things that came out of Midnight Basketball. I really,
Absolutely.
honestly, had no intentions of talking about Midnight Basketball, but it came to my mind because I said we was going to talk about the NBA playoffs. But quickly, you know what? Let's plan to do a show on that because we can talk about the things that came out of there because we can talk about Lucille O'Neal, Shaq's
Yeah.
mom coming through.
Yeah.
We can talk about Coach Carter, who everybody knows from the movie, coming there.
Yeah.
We can talk about
Jamil Hill.
Ellison,
Jamil Hill.
Ellison coming there as a speaker. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
all the people that was involved in the dinner that came from that, so on and so forth. So
Yeah.
let's pick a date and time so we can maybe we can find some sponsors, Vince, to bring this thing back. You know?
Well, I tell you what, I had a conversation just yesterday about and I was going to talk with you when I get there because I got a second meeting with them about starting a foundation. And the idea behind the foundation would be there are 2 things that I'm passionate about, kids, basketball, but I also have a heart for mental health and, of course, diabetes. And so what we were thinking about, the idea was pitched to me is to start a foundation and have a midnight basketball reunion banquet. And then let that be the start of the foundation. So I don't know. We're in discussion. We're going to talk about it. We're going to see if it's something that's real that could lend itself to continuing to do the things that we were passionate about.
Okay. Well, with that being said, in this game, there's a little over three minutes to go, and it looks like the Houston is going to win this game. But I wanted to talk about that first game. And I want to say, Vince, on that level, I was trying to figure out, like, how the heck can somebody come out and play so bad, have such a mindset, and say, and I was going to say, as long as James Harden is on the team and the dribble, 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 give up the ball with 1.2 seconds. What you gonna do? What kind of game plan was that? Where the heck was the head? It's just like this series looked like it would have been over in like Charles Barkley said, in 3 games.
The first game was terrible, without a shadow. Poor defense. They missed an awful lot of shots. They just were not playing that kind of basketball. I didn't believe, Charles, that it was going to be a 3-0. It looked that way, but I really did not anticipate it. And the difference tonight is it's the reverse roles. Houston is making a lot of shots, and Golden State is not making their shots. So what happens when you go? They got to take 2 at home, which is a very good possibility. Teams off the road, one of the things they talked about the other day is that teams on the road sometime, but when a team goes home, they're more comfortable. I think being in your own bed, role players play better at home because of the crowds. I'm not surprised. I kind of expected this to be a 1-1 split. I would have preferred it to been, but I kind of figured it would be a 1-1. The shocker, well, not for me, but as I had predicted, pretty much about that Cleveland thing, I'm telling you, this is going to be a wild card. This is going to be very, very interesting. They think they're going to go home and win 2 at home. I don't think so. Got to win 4 games. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to happen. Right. And this is definitely not going to be a top Golden State, and that's not going 3 and out, because these are 2 very good teams. What I'm waiting for is both on. You're talking about something to watch. When they're both on, this is going to be extremely interesting. But I give the defensive edge consistently to Golden State. I think that would be the difference in the game.
Well, I wanted to share something with you. Hold on, let me see.
Okay.
Let me see if I can bring it up here. Okay. Remember when I gave you my prediction when I played the prediction, for the Super Bowl? Remember when I played that?
Yeah.
Okay. Here you go. Okay, here we go. See, it says game 1. What is it? It just started. 11:06 to go in the first quarter. Just started. It's the Cleveland Boston game, and I'm gonna go sit right here for a minute, and I'm gonna give you my prediction for Wednesday. This is Sunday. The game just started. It's dark in here. So, Vince, this is my prediction. I showed you my prediction for the Philadelphia, New England. So I was kind of okay with that one, right? So this is my prediction coming into Wednesday night's show. I'm going to predict that Boston is going to go up 2-0 in the series, and Cleveland going to go back down 0-2. So that's my prediction. It's 10 minutes to go here in the first quarter. Game just started. It's 2-3 Boston. So that's my prediction for the series for right now. So Boston will win the first 2 games. Peace out.
Well, you hit it right on the head. You hit it right smack on the head. Outstanding performance. More team basketball, more sharing of the basketball. LeBron, they did what I would have done. I would have tried to let him score as many points as he can, make sure nobody else can score. They double teamed in the first game. They didn't double team him as much the second game. But team basketball, both offense and defense. And those young guys, they talk about those young guys, but as explosive as they are on the offensive side of the ball, they play some serious defense. And I really am impressed with that. They play some serious defense. So it's going to be interesting. I think it's a possibility that Cleveland, as I had said, and I should have taken mine early in the year. I said Cleveland was going to have problems.
Well, see, I think that Indiana exposed Cleveland, and I think Cleveland exposed Toronto. Okay, because I'm still,
without doubt, I'm
still baffled I mean, it's just like Oladipo was just able to get to the basket so easily, not just one game. He did it consistently throughout the series. And then when they played Toronto, who's supposed to have these two all-star guards, they couldn't get to the basket. Not nearly as easy as he did. And I'm still going, wow.
Well,
But then
one of the
now
main,
I was looking for them to fire him, the coach Casey. I was like, well, I mean, I'm not looking for anybody to lose their job, but if I had to make that call, that brother would be gone. Because I just
I didn't.
you got swept, and you look
Yeah,
bad.
here's the thing. They weren't equipped to deal with that. I mean,
Huh?
and they had two good guards, but the rest of the team was not equipped to deal with what they needed to get done. They had a great season, no doubt about that. But it's playoff time, and
Right.
those guys didn't show up. And it's unfortunate that he got fired because he was coach of the year. But then they still fired him, and they said they wanted to go a different. And unfortunately, that happens. I would have to say one of the things that he mentioned that I agree with. You got to build for the long term. You just we change, we stop and stop and stop, and we trade and trade and trade, and you're not getting any kind of consistency. What they did this year could build on next year. I think if he brought those guys back, but they changed their mind, decided they want to go a different direction. What you going to do about that? But I don't think it was right because he got them there. Now they didn't finish, which you can say about
But
4 or 5 different teams. You can say
but
the
Vince,
same
they
thing.
haven't done well in the playoff. Period. I mean, they haven't done well in the playoffs since they've been making the playoffs.
Well, they had one of the best records this season,
Right.
and you got to be a champ. You got to be a championship team now. They aren't they were impressive, but they don't have that championship caliber team yet. They're working that way, and I think they got to get some more players. They just don't have it now. Being swept is being swept. So when you look at that, you can say, and if you're going to change, where do you change? You change at the top.
See,
You change at the top.
let me ask you a question, because to me, Vince, sports is a child's game. It's a simple game. It's a fundamental game. It's and I'm talking about sports. I don't care if it's soccer. I don't care if it's volleyball. But the fundamentals is the foundation, and the game is simple. It's just as a coach, you know how it is trying to coach some knuckleheads to understand this
Yeah.
conversation. It's a simple game. That's the challenge of coaching, to get them to understand. Look, this is simple. All this other stuff you add, you're making it way more complicated and complex than what it needs to be. So you look
Th-
and you see these guys and you go like, man, this is not this complicated. So as a coach, I know, and sometimes I would love to just hear what you're thinking when you see what you see sometimes with some of the stuff, because it just goes back to, even on the highest level, these people who own these teams, who bring in the minds and the coaches, you'd be like, man, we had a better concept than that when we was in 8th and 9th grade. Understanding the game, and
Well,
and I think what bothers me, Vince, is the effort. Because like if how does somebody, and I'm speaking, and I'm just pulling names, how does somebody like a Steph Curry, how does somebody like a Kevin Durant, and I'm speaking in general, get the basketball and take 1 or 2 dribbles and nobody's not around it? Or when a player gets the ball, come off of something, take 1 or 2 dribbles and he's wide open. That's effort, Vince. That's effort. And that's what's so frustrating
and
sometimes, is because you don't see the effort. There's no reason that Kevin Durant, and I'm using him as an example, can come off of anything, anywhere on the court and take 1, 2 dribbles, and there's nobody that'll guard him. Or he take a open shot. Anybody, and I'm just using him, anybody, especially in the playoffs. And I look sometimes and I'm trying to understand, like, what does it take for you to understand you got to move your feet and give an effort? I'm done. I'm done.
What you have, in essence, is you got a coach that's laying out a game plan. And he's saying this is how we're going to execute his game plan. What happens between what he plans to do and happens on the floor is two different things. I gave you a point the other night that 2 times you saw LeBron and another teammate standing inside the paint with a guy standing outside the three-point line, having all day to catch, set, and shoot. That's exactly what you're talking about. That's a lack of effort. That's a lack of being involved. Let me tell you again, watching fast break when LeBron threw up a brick, he didn't hustle back, so you had 5 on 4 and that kind of thing. So you come back, it comes down to coaches get blamed for it, but it's theirs. It's their level of how much do they want to compete. And yes, as a coach, you want to motivate them to be involved because bottom line is we're trying to win. But here you are at the highest level, and they give up. To let Casey go. If you want to make a change, I can see that. But let's understand, he didn't shoot that. He didn't dribble drive. He didn't play no defense. Those guys out there making multi-million dollars go out there and play together. While the game fundamentally is very basic, it's much more complicated. The angles and strategies and stuff. But basketball, you got to love the game. You got to want to put into the game what the demands are. You shouldn't even play the game. So what you're talking about, coaches can't coach effort. And it's even worse at the professional level because you got a contract that all that money's out there. I got to play you. I mean, it would be crazy for me to give you $6 million and sit you on the bench. So I got to play. You got to try to find motivator, but it comes back to the guy on the floor. He has to want more than the guy. And I don't understand just be going your way that you aren't giving 100% effort. That's what you're talking about, because that's what I see. Just if I'm not winning, then and it's not a close game, where I can come down and throw something up and it go in, but they are up by 10 or 15 points. You watch how they play. They start backing up. We start saving ourselves for the next game. And I disagree with that. We play to the last buzzer, to the last shot. So as professionals, and you see it in high school basketball, you see it in AAU ball, you see it all the way down the line, but you kind of don't expect it at this level. That's the highest form of the game that is desire. I've heard coaches say, I can teach you to do everything, but I can't give you the heart to play. And I 100% agree with that. You know, I can teach you how to do it. I can tell you when to do it, and I can give you the skill. I can give you the set to make it happen. But you got to go out there and make it happen.
And so that's the hardest thing, Vince. That's the hardest thing.
It's very difficult.
It's hard.
Everybody has to be involved.
It's hard. I'm telling you this, it's hard. That's why it's hard for me to coach, because these kids nowadays, man, it's hard. It's hard because they don't put forth the effort a lot of times, and I don't understand. As a kid, you never got tired. You ran all day long. You couldn't wait. It's hard.
Those kids aren't
man.
out there. That kind of basketball player is not there anymore, because the whole philosophy of the game has changed. Kids they're in the park playing, but really we put an awful stock in video game. We play an awful lot of stock in playing AAU basketball, which does help you get exposed many times. But to me, from a teaching standpoint, it helps you. If a kid is not working on his own game, then he has a hard time getting better. And I'm in that arena right now. Now, one of the things that helps you is a team is having some kind of success. It motivates the next group of kids that come along, because they want to maintain that success or exceed that success. But if you're having an average season each year, it becomes more and more difficult to motivate that kid to play. It shouldn't be that way, because if I haven't won, I want to win. And if I have been winning, I want to continue to win. And I can give you a perfect example where we are right now. We've had seasons, and those group of kids that are coming up, they're coming up wanting to be a part of the tradition. So we've been very fortunate so far to be able to keep them motivated, and we have to do that by maintaining a standard, raising the bar. Hey, if you can, and I think it's how you select your team. This is not grade wide ball. You can't do what I need you to do. I can't have you. And that's a hard thing, because parents, I know the story about parents and their kids, but if you're going to have a very competitive program, you got to raise the bar. You got to demand a level of excellence, and that makes the big difference.
And see, and for example, when I talk about on that level, which I'm still trying to understand, and I can remember year before last when Steph Curry was really doing his thing, and they were talking to Oscar Robertson. And Oscar Robertson, in his comments that they made, he made a good analogy. He made a great comments to, and they were talking about, well, Oscar Robertson really didn't know what he was talking about. And what he was saying was, how come they don't pick up full court anymore? And they don't. Which I don't understand. How come they don't pick up full court anymore? Because the funny thing is, Vince, I can remember, I can see it like it was yesterday. Remember watching Oscar Robertson, them playing in the playoff, and I can remember them pressuring Oscar Robertson full court, bringing the ball up court, bringing every possession. He was being full court press, one-on-one, but the guy was right there in his face, forcing him to make a play full court. Now it's kind of like they give a soft little something, like, well, it's almost like they're saying, you're going to beat me off the dribble. I don't know what that's about. I have no idea. But the fact that they don't, like, for an example, when LeBron hit that last shot to beat Toronto, I think it was, and they didn't pick him up half court or didn't force that ball to go somewhere else. It's little stuff like that, Vince. You just look and you be like, well, you know who's supposed to get the ball, and it's like, you don't force them to do something different. And to me, it goes back to the effort, because I'm like, how you don't force him, how you don't take that ball out, how you don't double team it at that moment to force that ball to go somewhere else, and you just let him come up. Because when LeBron hit that shot where he went up and he just he was by himself. There was nothing there to keep him from just flipping his wrist, banking that ball off the backboard, because there was nothing there to keep him from doing that. There was no defense there.
There was a guy in front of him that had
exactly. There was a guy in front of him in the sense that, but he wasn't contested, Vince. That was a free shot. There was no contested. The guy was in front of him, and just watch him go up and shoot the ball.
That's right. And that's what you had. The way teams are built today, particularly even in the NBA, they're built offensively, not defensively. They get players who can score the basketball, not players who can stop basketball. That's who they recruit. Look at go there. They got 5 guys on the floor that can dribble and shoot, but they also have 5 guys that can play defense, which is kind of rare. Because look at Houston. They got Patella, who is a huge defensive presence. The rest of those guys get in the way. In my opinion, they're not playing good defense. So what you have today is a change in the game. Everything is half court, being beat off the dribble, because once that guy gets beat off the dribble, he's not going to the rack. He's going to the 3-point line. Even on fast break the other day, I saw a 4-on-2 pull up at the 3-point line. Now, that's a strategy. That's a mindset. That's where the game is. For me, I think you attack the basket. But in today's game, particularly at the NBA level, nobody attacks the basket. Very few of those guys, because they rely on the 3-point shot. So the game has evolved and changed.
Wait a minute, Vince. No. Don't say evolve.
The game has changed.
You can say it's changed, but it's
I
taking a
think it
step
evolved.
backwards.
Well, it depends
It's
upon how you look
gone
at it. I mean, it
backwards,
depends.
not
You
forward.
can say
It's
that,
backwards.
but it still has evolved into a different kind of game because, like they talk about that, uh, um, what Steve Kerr said the other day, he couldn't play in today's league. It's different than when he played. And they used to talk. They talk about all the time. People going down the lane. I see the lane wide open. People won't even step up charge. Back in the
No,
day, you
no,
don't
actually, you
come
know
through
what? I think
without
Steve was just
rules have
throwing out
changed.
words because I think Steve is more built for today's game than the old game
I don't think
because
so.
no,
I
because
mean,
he
he can
was a
shoot the
spot up
ball. I
shooter.
mean,
He was a spot up shooter,
yeah, he can
and
shoot the
that's what the
ball.
game is now,
But
spot
there's
up
the other
shooting.
side of the game too. He was not a defensive ball player. He was not a defensive ball player. He got in the way.
You
But in
just said it.
today's
They don't
game,
play no
as
defense.
but listen to what I'm saying. If he's talking about today's game as it to his team, they play defense. Okay, they
Right,
actually get out there and play defense now. And
right.
he couldn't have done that. He might have been basketball. Overall, the league is a more offensive type league, which I think is what takes away from the game.
Oh
And
yeah,
those type
because I
of
keep
the
saying he's
reason
taking a
some of
step
those
back.
teams do so well is because they play offense and defense. And the game, the half court, and then you got to look at how they build their teams. They don't build their teams to play the old game picture because you don't have that many guys that can pick up full court and be effective.
I'm
They're
going.
more half court.
You know what? I'm going to throw out a name, and I'm going to see if you recognize this name. And if you recognize this name, which I don't know if you will, because I'm going way back, and I'm going to
Hmm.
college now. I'm going to college. Actually, when he got drafted, he went to Chicago, but he didn't play that long because he got hurt. But I'm going to throw out a name, and I'm going to see if you remember this name. I don't know if you're going to. His name was Leon Bimbo.
No,
You don't remember
no.
Leon Bim? Oh,
Name does not ring a bell.
okay. Leon Bimbo played with Artis Gilmore and those guys at
Hmm.
JU. And Leon Bimbo had the best footwork had anybody had ever seen moving his feet. And
Hmm.
to this day, I have never seen anybody defensively move their feet like he did defensively. He was just, there was something about, he just got down and how he moved. You know how you try to get the kids to sit and move and move? He had it down to a T. And when he played, that you just watched him because he just, whatever that was, the gift that God gave him, he just played defense that way 24/7. He went to Chicago and got hurt. Knee, did something to his knee. Never really played. I think he played like two years. But I was hoping that you
Hmm.
would have been able to recall.
Names.
But he played along
Mm-mm.
those years when Artis Gilmore was there and Phil Carter and Chip Dublin, and when they had that big rivalry with FSU with Ron King and all those guys and Otto Petty and all those guys back in the day. I don't know if you remember Otto
Now,
Petty.
his
Remember?
name I remember a little very much, not very much, but I've heard the name. I've heard the name. And see, you also have to look at too basketball like, situation that you put in. What here's a guy who has great defensive footwork, but are they a defensive team? And you got some guys that play some real good post moves. I've seen a couple of guys with excellent post moves, but they don't throw the ball to the post.
Right.
So this guy ends up not playing well because it's not what they do. So and I think it's a matter of how you like to see the game played.
Mm-hmm.
I'm is what makes a difference, and that's what you see on the floor, like Dan and Tony. I just think he's an offensive coach.
Right.
He does a great job on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, he just try to get in the way because he has no scheme. He has no strategy, in my opinion.
All right. Are you ready for the 3 minute drill? I mean, what is it?
I'm ready for the 3 minutes.
Suicide.
I'm ready.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All
Three
right.
minutes suicide.
Here we go. All right. Will Dez sign before the end of the summer? Will he sign the team? Because you know talking about him when he
No,
didn't sign with Ravens.
no, no, he will not.
Okay. What's your NBA Coach of the Year?
Steve,
What's the best left-handed basketball player you've ever seen?
I'm stumped on that one. I'm trying to, you got to come back to me on that one. I'm
Okay.
stumped
The
on that.
best left-handed player you ever coached?
Guy from, ooh, this is going back a year. His name was whew, David. Can't remember his last name. One of the best guys I ever,
Okay.
left-handed guys I ever
Okay.
seen.
Best left-handed quarterback you've ever seen in the NFL?
Gosh, you got me on that one.
Was it was it Vic? No? Okay. Have you ever
Vic was,
dated
yeah, he's
anybody
not the best.
left-handed?
Say it again?
Have you ever dated anybody left-handed?
No. All right, I'm not.
Okay. Did you ever meet Al McGuire when your brother played at Marquette?
Yes.
You did. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Did Arthur Ashe ever made you want to play tennis?
Yes.
Okay. Here you go.
In fact, I did play tennis.
What was your first Pam Grier movie?
Um, ooh, God, yeah, I can't think of the name of it.
Coffee.
Yeah,
Coffee.
yeah. That's what it was.
Coffee.
Coffee. Yeah, yeah.
Coffee.
That's what it was. That's exactly what it was.
see, we both laughing.
Yeah, that's going back a ways.
What's your favorite sports movie?
Coach Carter.
Were you ever the remote with pliers when you were a kid for the TV?
No,
No? Okay.
I was not, but not the remote. I was the antenna, but not the remote.
Where were you when you found out the first time that you were going to be a father? And did anyone have to pick you up off the floor?
Say that again. Some of that went out. I didn't get that.
Okay, where were you when you found out that you were going to be a father for the first time, and did anyone have to pick you up off the floor?
Daddy, I was actually at home and got a phone call, and I fell
Oh
off the
yeah.
couch.
So
I was
did
so
somebody
excited I fell
have to pick you up
off
off the floor?
I was home alone. I was home by myself.
Did,
I was home by myself.
did
And
you
I was laid on the floor. I just stretched out on the floor. I was blown away.
hey, did you go to the refrigerator and get some MD 2020? Be like, no, that's what got me in that
I
situation in
should
the first
have.
place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I should have went and got a glass of water. That's what I should have done.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I I kind of had a feeling you would remember that first Pam Grier movie.
Oh, oh, oh. Oh, yeah, yeah. You could, yeah. It took me. I couldn't call it. I couldn't say it, but I knew what I was.
It was coffee. It was
I was a
coffee.
fan of Pan. I still am.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, I'm still
yeah,
a
yeah.
fan.
I think we all been. We used to always say back in the day, Vince. We used to always say this. We would say, you can tell when Pam Grier movie was in town because all the old men started going to the movies.
Went to the movies. Yeah. That's and that is true. That is true because I'm still there. I'm still there. Still there. I'm still there.
Ooh,
Still
see,
there.
last week you had me crying. See, now you got me crying again. What you what you think? Well, first of all, let's talk about the Boston because we didn't finish talking about the Boston Cleveland series. So what you think there? What you think gonna happen there?
Um, I really think Cleveland will win. If they're not careful, if they let them go up 3-0, they could be in serious trouble. I think Boston, if Boston keeps, can keep their nose to the grind, I don't believe they'll sweep them. I really don't. I'd be extremely shocked if they swept them. But I do think that they're gonna it may be a 3-1 situation because the way they play the game, sharing the basketball, again playing defense on others, because they're another team that's playing good defense. The strategy that they're using against LeBron and LeBron's support cast not showing up for him I mean, he scores 40 some points and you still lose. So I think the way Brad has them playing, the focus that they have, I think what happened. We've heard so many people talk about them being young and inexperienced. They're showing you they have grown up, or they're growing up right in front of your eyes, and they're playing some terrific basketball, and they're playing with such confidence. Um, they're not playing like this is my first time. They're playing like I own this. I own this thing. And one of the things the commentator said that I think is true, they're not in awe of LeBron. They really are not. I mean, LeBron is LeBron, and we like you, LeBron. We respect you for the era of ball that you are playing. I don't think you're the all time great, but you definitely a force to be reckoned with during your era. They don't care. I mean, they're giving him everything that he can handle. So I'm impressed with that again. And the defense, they are playing defense. So that I think it's 4-1.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna win one. I think they're gonna get one, and then and then they're gonna come back and take them home. I think they're gonna win it because they're going to Cleveland, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're gonna get one out of Cleveland, and then they'll bring them back home and close it out.
Wow. Well, you know, if they get swept, and who?
I'm gonna turn my TV off if they get swept. And that's all they're gonna be talking about. Is that LeBron has never been swept and blah 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 blah. And all I can say for him, he just got swept. I mean, that would be a major, and they would probably aggravate him because they're going to have him on TV and ask him all them dumb questions.
Right.
I mean, because see, a couple of people have said, NBA people are saying they're just not that talented. He doesn't have that. He doesn't have, a super talented team around him. He's got some efficiency players, but they're not super talented. And then they don't show up every night. And then he's scoring 30 and 40 points, but that's the old Michael Jordan when the Bulls. Mike was going out there scoring 40 points, and he was still getting their brains beat in. As soon as Mike started scoring 20 points, and his supporting cast started raising their game, that's when they started winning.
Right.
And I found them in for a shot.
Right. Well, I may have a surprise for you next week because next week you're going to be here.
Yes.
Yes. So I may have I'm working on a surprise for you. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I'm working on a surprise for you. So we will see. We will see.
Okay.
I'm working on it. If I can find what I'm looking for, it'll be a little surprise for you.
Okay.
But
all right.
there's a discussion that I wanted to have. Remember I was telling you about, we just wanted to talk about who we are and how we see this game and how the announcers sometimes sounds like like a bunch of knuckleheads. I mean, just like I was telling you about how we see this game and some of the questions and the perspective we have on this game. I think there's something wrong with us in the sense of something that we see, because there's nothing new generally when we watch, if we would sit there and watch the whole season, rarely do you see something new that you hadn't seen before. In the game, the plan and the concept is generally the same. You stop, you try to score, and you try to stop the other person from score, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, hockey, volleyball, whatever. That's the concept.
Mm-hmm.
But all these questions that they be asking, it's kind of like sometimes be like, because being in news, coming from news, sometimes, even I'm like this, where it'd be like, man, that was just a dumb, stupid question. Ooh, geez, that was just, and it's almost like, let me give you an intelligent question to ask me.
Mm-hmm.
That's what sometimes you want to say. Let me give you an intelligent question to ask me so you can do your job.
But you ever notice doing that, Charles? They always ask the individual player what his concept is, not the team concept. Every now and then they might ask a team concept question, but they're more asking like, I tell you, I don't want to pick on LeBron, but let's talk about LeBron. And he said this to the point, to his credit, that they were trying to get him to throw his teammates under the bus. And he said, I'm not going to do that. We didn't play well, and consequently we lost. I got to do a better job of getting me ready and help the team get ready. When you look at college basketball, you hear more and see more team concept. What kind of defense we're going to play, where we're going to trap, whether we're pressing or not pressing. That's a whole different strategic game in my mind, the way I see the game. Because the NBA sometimes becomes very boring because you see the same thing.
Right.
You can be playing on this team today. I can trade you to a team next week and you start. But what does that say? That says that basically they don't have anything any different than what you came from. Talent level may be left. They may have more scores or more whatever, but there's no real strategy going into the game. I'm sure there is some strategy, obviously, but it doesn't always look like that. And sometimes I cannot imagine after losing a close game, when to sit up on a podium and have them ask you some of the dumbest questions. Like one time the guy asked, well, how do you feel? The guy said, what do you mean, how do I feel? I lost. I mean, and I thought he was trying to pick his words very carefully. You clean it up because I think he wanted to say something different, which I could completely understand that.
Right.
I just lost a close game, a game that could put me in the playoffs or kick me to the champ or whatever, and you want to know, how do I feel? Well, you tell me, how do you think I feel? Because they can ask some doozies sometimes. And I don't know whether these guys are looking for a backstory or they just that stupid. I'm just not sure.
Well, you can email us here at Youth Central Sports at youthcentralsports@gmail.com. Also, Vince, we cannot leave tonight without talking about the betting, sports betting, and what they came up with in their decision in the courts. What you think?
I'm surprised.
How you feel about that?
I'm not a big fan of that. I understand, because now you're talking about betting all the way through even collegiate basketball and all you sports stuff like that. I guess it's where we are today. But for me, I don't know. To me, you open up a door that I thought that I know they're doing it underground anyway. And so now, but you know what it is. One of the things that you talk about all the time is about money, and everybody. So what they're saying is, since that money is flowing, let me some of it. That's the same concept you had on the shoe deal, shoe company. You in the shoe company, but the shoe company is saying, I got money. You want some? And yeah, I want something. So they end up getting it. So I think this is a way of them trying to curb the dishonesty by opening up, and let's do it legally across the books. We're going to have to wait and see how that works out, because I have apprehensions about that, but they may have found a good formula. I don't know. For me, I'm thinking it was not a good move, but it may have been necessary in order to try to control it. Like, for instance, Wi-Fi in a lot of the football stadiums. Mm-hmm. You couldn't do fantasy football because they would block you out. Well, they found out that the attendance started suffering. So what they do, now they got designated Wi-Fi so you can come to the game and still do, and people are going to the game. So the attendance goes back up again. So I think it's one of those situations I got to be involved. I got to be involved. I can't let this go and I don't be involved. So I think betting is the same thing. Trying to control it. Let's legalize it so we can control it. Let's see how it works.
Wow. As you know, whether or not it's a patch or something on my uniform,
Yeah.
whether or not it's Wi-Fi at the stadium, whether or
Hmm.
not I'm trying to legalize marijuana, it's always about the
All about that money.
money.
I mean, we that's what we do. That's who we are as a country, and that's who we are as a people. It's about that dollar. It's about trying to, and I'm okay with that as long as we share the dollar.
Right.
And sometimes that's where I have my problem is we don't share the dollar. We want to monopolize the dollar. Again about these young athletes, and we piggyback and making a whole bunch of money off of them, but we want to tie their hands. And look at the NFL. We're paying crazy salaries to
Right.
players and stuff, but it's about that dollar. It's about you got to get butts in the seat.
Yeah. Well, that's very true. So I didn't ask you about who you think going to win that Houston Golden State series.
I think Golden State is going to win, but I think it's going to be a very interesting series. We could go 7 games, and we could actually go 7 games. But I think Golden State wins.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
probably. I think. I mean, because Kevin Durant is such. He's a beast on that team. And there's
and
any
and he playing both ways now.
right.
He playing good defense and he putting that ball in the hole.
Well, he's a matchup problem for anyone. Just wish that he
Without
could have
doubt,
been.
without a doubt.
I mean, I wish he could have been that way in Oklahoma, because
Couldn't
there
happen with Westbrook.
I mean, he couldn't get it done.
But
You
yeah, he
know,
couldn't get it done now. They weren't built that way. Again, they weren't built. They weren't built. Then you had him and Westbrook out and Harden all trying to shoot the basketball. And everybody trying to get a shot in, and nobody wanted to play in the defense. West plays a little bit, but they weren't playing. And you know what? At the time, I thought I was disappointed that they separated, but now I see it was for the better because everybody got a chance to do what they do. Harden found his home. Westbrook is doing the best he can out there. He needs some help, and Durant made a move that put him in the right position on the
oh
right
yeah,
team.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, on the right team, and then they're complimenting what he brings to the table, which is very important, and really, really, really making that thing. They're gonna break down eventually, but I think it's gonna be a minute. The only thing that's gonna hurt them is staying healthy, but the bench
Right.
is deep. The bench is getting deeper, which I think is really is gonna make it very difficult to beat them.
Well, Boston will be a fun team to watch next year. And what you think they're gonna do
Yeah,
with your
without a
guard?
doubt.
Yeah, I mean, what you think they're gonna do with your guard, Rozier?
They gotta keep it, man. You can't let him go, man. You're gonna have to give him some time on the floor. He and Kyrie, you just can't bury that young man on the bench. Not when he carrying you through the playoffs.
Him, yeah,
Kyrie
him
gonna
and
come back, and we're gonna have to share some time.
Bledsoe. Rozier and Bledsoe.
Yeah, I mean, you got to put them. They're gonna be in a rotation. They may not be starters. I mean, because Hayward's gonna be coming back. Hopefully, and Hayward said it's necessary he could play now. But I mean, they're gonna have to take a real hard look at their roster and kind of. But you cannot deny these guys because they're taking you through this wall. And you add Hayward and Irvin to the match. They're gonna be tough. I mean, they're gonna be really, really, really tough. Uh, that's gonna be. They could be meeting up with Golden State next year and saying, "Oh, here we go." Because Cleveland will not be in the mix next year because the word is that LeBron's gonna probably be in LA. They were talking
What's
about
the
that today.
what's the young guard name that's out of Oklahoma? What's his name?
Um, oh, the, Trey. Is it Holiday?
No, no, no,
Holloway.
no, no. The the one that was like the leading scorer in the country. What was his name out of Oklahoma?
Yeah, what was his name?
Well, the reason why I'm bringing up because in the mock draft they had him coming to Orlando. Did you know that?
No,
In the
but
in the mock
he
draft last night they
he
had him coming
shouldn't
to Orlando.
he should not do that. He should not.
Yep.
Well, it was going to depend on who the coach is.
Trey. Is it Trey something? Is it
It's
Trey?
Trey.
Trey?
Yeah, let me see if I can find that real quick. God, I
Trey?
can't think of that young man's name.
Right. Yeah, but they have him coming to
I
Orlando in the
saw
mock draft.
who's coaching who's coaching the Orlando Magic.
You?
That's, then you might want to come then.
They haven't hired a coach yet, I don't think. I don't think they
I don't
hired a
think
coach
they
yet. They
have
hired a
either.
coach?
No, mm-mm.
No.
No, they
And
haven't. There's a
actually,
lot of them
I
out there.
mean, of course, they shouldn't have gotten rid of the coach, but hey, if I was Toronto, I would go after Frank Vogel.
Yeah, Vogel's a good coach. I really
Yeah,
thought they
yeah.
gave
I
him
mean, if I was Toronto,
Trey
I would
Young.
go after Frank
Trey
Vogel.
Trey Young is his name.
Trey,
Trey
Trey,
Young.
Trey. You're right, right,
Yeah, they
right.
got
Trey
him as
Young.
they got him going to Orlando. Yeah, they
Yep.
got him going to Orlando. Uh, Gonna depend on who the coach is, because they got a lot of stuff they got to change there in Orlando. And again, I disagree with the quick fix. You got to
Well,
put now, I tell you what I'm interested in. I'm interested to see what the Knicks going to do. Now they hired Fizdale with the
Knicks are bad,
commitment that
Vince.
we're going to take our time
They're
and build
bad.
this. I want to see. Oh yeah, they're
They're a
bad,
bad
but
team.
they're gonna make some. One of the things they're gonna commit to is getting young players and taking the time to build them. I want to see if that happens when they're getting. How long will that last? And they can convince the city that you're going to be patient with us while we raise these young kids. If they'll do that, I think down the road they could be a good team. But generally, when you don't have butts and seats, revenue is going down, and the city's all upset. Because they Fizdale I think he got a 5-year contract, and but in listening to management, they seem to be committed to wait and let it happen. Because I think they've realized a quick fix won't work. They can't bring in people and make a quick fix. It just won't work. So the only other thing they can do now is take the time and build it. But I just want to see. See the Magic. If the Magic had taken their time, they could have had a very competitive team. But they want to try that quick fix. Not
Right.
gonna work.
Well,
It's not
I want to
working.
say safe travel because you're headed this way, so we get a chance to
Hit it that way.
yeah
Yeah.
be here. And
Yeah.
again, I'm working on a little surprise for you, so I don't know if I'll be able to pull it
Yeah.
off, but we will see. We will see. We will see.
We'll see. I'll be looking forward to it.
All right. So you're looking for Golden State to win the next game because they're playing at home, and you're looking for Cleveland to win the next game because they're playing at home.
Right.
I'm asking.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
It's gonna be
All
it's
right.
gonna be tit tat back and forth. Somebody, but if Houston, well, it depends on who has a bad night. That's what it's gonna come down. But because if they're both on board, you're talking about an exciting game. That's gonna be real exciting.
Right.
But I think bottom line, Golden State's gonna take it.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm Charles Morse. This is Coach Vince Carter, all the way
Yes,
from
sir.
Tennessee, Brentwood High School. What was your record this?
Brentwood
What
High
was your
School,
final record this year, Vince?
25-7,
You said 25-6.
25-7.
Oh, 25-7. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. How you
Hmm.
looking for next year, real quick? How you looking for next year?
look really good. We look really good right now. Got potentially
Okay.
we could be even better.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we come to you every Wednesday right here at 11 o'clock my time, 10 o'clock his time at
Hmm.
www.youthcentralsports.com, where we talk sports and a lot of other things as well. Looking forward to Vince coming into town. Looking forward to you joining us next week. But also, you make sure, and if he's going to be here, we're going to make sure he's going to be on the Journey 2020 as well. So the Journey 2020 comes your way on Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time right here. Well, not here, but at www.thejourney2020.com. We're going to see if we can get Vince on the Journey 2020 as well. So we want to say thank you for hanging out with us, and we want to say enjoy the rest of your week. You be blessed.
Amen.